From the Whiskey Tangent Studios in Marlton, New Jersey, this is Whiskey Tangent News.
Hey everybody, this is Ed from the Whiskey Tangent Podcast, back with another episode of Whiskey News.
Woo!
Joining me as always is Scott.
Hey everybody.
And let me tell you what we're going to get into this evening.
Mischief.
Well, it could be this morning. We don't know when they're listening. It's afternoon.
That's true.
Right after dusk.
You know what happens when you assume.
Right. Did you make an ass of you and me?
Yes.
So 9 news stories. We're going to do an update on the Buffalo Trace flooding. That it was last time the news came out. It was a news flash for us. We didn't have any information.
Right.
Then we're going to do 3 stories on industry news. Revisit the competition circuit with 2 stories, including an interview with Christoper Davies from the Denver International Spirits Competition and the Global Whiskey Challenge.
That we went to last year.
Went to it last year. Hung out with him and the judges, and
a lot of fun.
We are looking forward to possibly being involved again this year.
Yeah.
We're going to also do true crime, which everyone loves. The dozens and dozens of true crime fan letters we get. So there's 3 stories of true crime, sometimes funny, sometimes sad, sometimes poignant, sometimes a lesson for you kids.
The more you know.
We're going to then talk about the 19 new whiskeys you can buy this month.
There's a lot.
And then we're going to tell you what's coming up on the podcast in June.
That's right.
And now Scott is going to tell us the news.
So it's May 2025, and here's all the news that's fit to drink. As stated, the Buffalo Trace flooding update. This is from a video that CBS News posted on Facebook. After being hit by historic floods last month, Frankfort, Kentucky-based Buffalo Trace is now back in operation thanks to help from employees and volunteers. Their gift shop reopened and limited tours and tastings are being conducted. But it wasn't easy. They raced to replace much of the campus's electrical wires, tanks, and valves before this month's Kentucky Derby, during which Buffalo Trace sees their biggest crowds of the year. When asked how much the reopening means to Frankfort, Master Distiller Harlan Wheatley said, "It means a lot. We have 770 employees. We have a lot of families that depend on a job and the economy in the area, and we wanted to get up and running as fast as we could."
Well, that's great news for everybody. And I know that the one thing we learned when we were in Kentucky, going distillery to distillery to distillery, is there's very little animosity between the distilleries. In fact, there's a great feeling of kinship because a lot of people from one family work in multiple ones. And, you know, if you work in the industry, you tend to sometimes move from distillery to distillery and you make connections. So I know that everybody was upset and concerned for Buffalo Trace, especially us in New Jersey who don't really get a lot of Buffalo Trace products already. So we can only imagine any detriment to their output is going to hurt us even more.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how much more you can mark up the Weller Foolproof in New Jersey, but they'll find a way, trust me. And don't get me started on anything with Pappy or George T. Stagg, $1,500 and all that stuff. So
Totally agree. The atmosphere there in Kentucky is very like a friendly rivalry. Everyone's so congenial with each other.
yeah, never heard anyone talk bad about another distillery.
Yeah, the guy at Peerless mentioned it. I don't know if I would include that in the part of the interview.
Yeah.
John Wadle from Peerless and also Bobby DeMars from Blind Barrels also mentioned it on his interview. So, you know, it's well known in the industry that all these guys really care for each other.
Yeah, a lot of people reference the Heaven Hill fire.
Yeah.
And Heaven Hill also has given a lot of credit to their neighboring distilleries for getting them back on their feet. So, yeah, it's something we could all learn a little bit from.
That's right.
Help your neighbors.
So, the first real topic in industry news. From the spirits business, Middle West Spirits buys Old Elk.
Okay.
Independently owned, Ohio-based Middle West Spirits is expanding its national footprint with the acquisition of Old Elk and its assets for an undisclosed sum. Founded in 2008, Middle West leverages Ohio's grain belt to manage every step of production from seed selection through distillation and aging, and they recently completed a distillery expansion in January of 2024. Old Elk was founded in 2013 in Fort Collins, Colorado, with a portfolio currently available in all 50 states. In 2016, Greg Metz, formerly of NGP, joined as master distiller and began contract distilling from that Indiana conglomerate. Regarding the acquisition, Middle West lead distiller and CEO Ryan Lang said, "This is a meaningful moment for both of our teams. Old Elk has built a respected and beloved brand with staying power by specializing in irregular grain mash bills and inventive finishes, as well as a distinct blending and innovation philosophy that complements our grain-to-glass production model. Together, we're not just expanding, we're joining forces to preserve what makes each brand special while unlocking new potential."
Well, Old Elk is great whiskey. I just think the name's pedestrian. But evidently they've gotten past that with everyone except me in the country.
Yeah, you're the only one.
They only hold out, but their reputation is for making, just like you said, mash bills very well done with unique finishing. And they've been around 12 years. And we see that a lot. These small distilleries come out, make a mark, and then they get bought up. You know, and they make their money, like Penelope, right?
Yeah, it's part of the industry, a little bit of contraction happening right now.
Right.
And in the past, like 3 or 4 years, to be clear, it's not just all tariff related. This was going to be a tariff-free news podcast.
Yeah.
But I just mentioned it now, and I've ruined everything. God damn it.
Don't mention the war. I did once, but I think I covered it well.
I'm stupid.
No, but it's been in the works for a while, is what we're saying.
Yes, it has been. Okay, so the second story we have in industry news is from Breaking Bourbon. Westward, not to be confused with Middle West or Westland, Westward whiskey files for bankruptcy. The near-constant news of a struggling economy, threats of inflation, and the downturn in spirits in general has led to fears of a potential whiskey industry fallout, which we've talked about before. And indeed, there has been some, what with Stoli Group, Kentucky Owl, and San Antonio-based Devil's River all recently filing for bankruptcy, Garrett County Distilling facing financial litigation, and even Jack Daniel's announcing a 12% reduction in their global workforce. Now comes news of Portland, Oregon's distillery, Westward Whiskey, also filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. Although the Westward Whiskey name may be new to some, the company has been around for over 20 years. As the original distillers of Ryan Reynolds Aviation Gin, their involvement with the brand ended after it was acquired by Diageo in 2020 for $610 million.
So they're doing okay.
Yeah.
So somehow from that to now, they have to declare bankruptcy. That sounds like bad management to me.
Well, how much went to Ryan Reynolds and how much went to them? Is, you know.
All right.
They were just helping.
Well, they were making it.
Right. Helping kind of diminishes the role.
Right. They were making the product, and he was, at the very least, putting his name on it.
Yes.
I mean, I like Ryan, but I can't picture he's in there mashing grain up or anything like that.
That's
you know?
right. After that sale, they put a renewed focus on their American single malt production, which we actually tried on episode 37. It was one of the first whiskeys we tried on that episode. But to achieve those goals, they needed capital to make it happen. In 2018, they partnered with Distill Ventures, the Diageo-backed financial accelerator for entrepreneurs building scalable drinks brands, allowing Westward to meet rising demand and giving Diageo proximity to American single malt production. However, just this past March, Diageo pulled funding from Distill Ventures to focus on its core brands, leaving Westward and a host of other small craft distilleries in the lurch, including Denmark's Stauning whiskey, which we tried on episode 71. But the news isn't all bad, because instead of bankruptcy being a sign that Westward might close their doors for good, CEO Thomas Mooney insists that the opposite is actually true, and their doors will remain open wider than ever before. All of a sudden, we found ourselves looking at an entirely different future. What's the right way to run our business, and how do we do that in today's conditions and beyond? And we realized that what we needed was to restructure our assets in order to become a company that can compete as an independent moving forward.
Well, I mean, I had a unique experience to do a little mini tasting when I was in the Portland airport waiting for my flight, because they actually had a store in there.
Westward did.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, so I tried like 3 or 4 of their stuff. But what's interesting is I could have bought a bottle and I didn't. So I just felt they were just okay for me. I mean, there weren't anything wrong with it.
Yeah, and I didn't go back and listen to the episode to see what we thought about Westward, but I think the same thing. Like, it was fine. That's it.
Yeah, it was fine. They have nice bottles. I recognized one the other day, right? We were in a bar, and I was like, oh, that's a Westwood bottle right there. And I want to say this where I don't sound like a dick, but I'm very empathetic and very...
Good luck!
I'm very empathetic and I'm very sympathetic to people that are following their passion, starting a business.
Yeah.
But there's been so many boutique brands that have come out the last 10 years. They can't all make it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If Westward was kicking ass and all that and making great whiskey, Diageo would have bought them and not abandoned them. You know what I mean? Why they did it, I have no idea. It could be zero reflection on Westward's product. I don't know. But I'm just saying, they decide to no longer fund it. So if they have enough people that like their bottles, they'll make it, unless they're mismanaging. When Dixon Dedman left Kentucky Owl, it floundered because he was a creative process there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they thought, well, the name is good enough now. Other people still love it, but they're still chasing the name. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you could taste the bottle from 5 years ago to today, you'd realize it's not the same. My opinion. Yeah,
there's a bunch of stuff like that. Like even Pappy,
Yeah.
right? People are still chasing the Pappy that won that San Francisco World Spirits Competition in the 90s. And it's not the same stuff. It just isn't. But people are paying premium prices for it. Not premium, ultra premium. Like ridiculous prices for it.
Now, we had the William LaRue Weller last year. It was one of the best whiskeys I ever had.
It's fantastic.
All right. I've had the George T. Stagg. A couple of them are just fantastic.
Yeah.
We've tasted Pappy together. Me and Scott have done it many times. It just isn't special to me. And the people that like rave about regular $32 Buffalo Trace, It's fine. I had it a few weeks ago. I was at a wedding, and that was their like well bourbon, which is great well bourbon.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I drank it straight. They made Manhattans with it. I enjoyed it all night. But my point is, you're going to hear a lot of distilleries. Some will get bought up. Other people will go out of business. That's just business.
Yeah.
I was at a fair today, like a Renaissance fair. Don't ask why. And
Nerd.
And I was working it. Okay, I was selling beer like a man. But anyway,
Like a man.
like a man does. And so I walk by a stand. They're selling like ice cream bars. The stuff you get at 7-Eleven for like $2.50, $3, like the Snickers ice cream bar, the Klondike bar. They're selling them for $5. Right?
Right.
So I just was buying a water on my way out. I was like, "How'd you do today? It was pretty hot today." She's like, we sold more water than ice cream. I'm thinking, well, maybe drop it from $5 to $4.
That's right.
And you'd sell more ice cream, right?
Yeah. Greed. Greed.
And I have no idea what they have to pay rent there. I'm not judging the poor woman. I'm just saying that isn't it better to sell 10 ice creams for $40 than 4 ice creams for $20,
So what's interesting to me about this, and then we'll move on, the CEO, Thomas Mooney, the quote that he says here emphasizes that they did this so that they could compete as an independent company, so that perhaps he didn't want to sell.
Okay.
But we don't know if there's been offers and he's refused.
Right.
So that's all I want to say.
Yeah, good luck to him.
And the last story we have in
Industry
news, focus, Scott, from the Chicago Tribune. I thought this was super interesting.
Okay.
How a new online auction startup is turning whiskeys into windfalls. And I definitely want to get your opinion on this.
Okay.
Chicago-based Unicorn, a 5-year-old online auction platform for wines and spirits, has quickly established itself as the eBay of authenticating, digitizing, storing, auctioning, and imbibing more than $125 million worth of prized booze since its inception. More than 100,000 customers have been raiding their liquor cabinets to trade everything from bargain bin bourbons to regular single-barrel releases, and their weekly auctions have turned more than a few dusty, unopened bottles into 5- and 6-figure windfalls. Says CEO Phil Mikhailov, "We serve serious collectors and first-time buyers alike. In every auction, you can find bottles that are $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, but you will also find thousands of bottles under $100, and that's why we've grown so vastly." A first-generation
Just
Russian...
like I said, Scott, about the ice cream, right?
Yeah.
If you only had $20,000 bottles, you wouldn't be in business.
That's right. A first-generation Russian immigrant and tech veteran, Mikhailov, joined forces with Chicago bar owner Cody Modir to launch Unicorn in 2020. Each auction generates up to $2 million in sales, with Unicorn taking 20% of the revenue. The seller pays a 5% fee, and the buyer pays a 15% fee on each bottle sold, which is how, in just 5 years, the company has expanded to 75 employees in 2 Chicago locations, including a 70,000 square foot warehouse in nearby Bridgeport for storing wine and spirits bottles.
That's huge.
Yeah. For some, like 74-year-old Robert Dross, it's a way to sell part of his whiskey collection that he's accumulated over the years. He paid about $1,500 to build his set, and it was appraised for auction at $39,700. For others like Jake Marquis, it's a way to beat the scarcity and high prices of the secondary market, as he was able to pick up a bottle of Heaven's Door 10-year bourbon for just $50, an allocated whiskey that varies wildly in price up to hundreds of dollars per bottle. So if you'd like to get in on the action, or auction, whether looking to sell some of your duplicate bottles or pick up something hard to find, just browse on over to unicornauctions.com.
So it's fascinating to me because it's the true secondary market in a way. Like, it's what are you willing to pay for this particular bottle?
Right.
And, I've been looking for a damn Seagram 7 from the 80s.
Maybe they have one.
For 3 years. Maybe I go in there and bid it for $65, $70 and just buy the damn thing. It's interesting, though. I guess they must have some licensing to be able to sell liquor, because that's always a problem with the secondary market.
Yes.
A lot of the sales are strictly illegal. Could be wrong. Maybe it's a state-by-state thing.
Could be.
But I know where we live,
Yeah.
it's frowned upon.
Yeah, because they didn't mention that in the article, and I'd really be interested to know why they can do this and other places can't.
Yeah, because a lot of the whiskey groups online, they don't allow you to even type in a $sign.
Right.
Because
they use like different emojis.
If they get a reputation for being a buying and selling site, they'll get closed down.
Yeah. I think it's pretty cool.
Yes.
I think it's pretty good. Like, it's an auction. Auctions have been around forever. Maybe that's how they get around it, because it's an auction.
Yeah, I mean, if eBay is your reference point, right? If anybody like, you know what? There was this toy in my childhood that I'd love to have it and give it to my kid. And you can go on eBay and find it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if this is like, hey, I want to find a 1980 5 version of Seagram 7. If the price is more than I don't want to pay, then
you don't pay it.
I make the same decision I make whenever I walk into the stores in Jersey with the ridiculous $300 full-proof Weller sitting there. Yep. Or the $190 Blanton bottle, which is hysterical. Or the $99 bottle of Eagle Rare that should be $45. Yeah, it's great. So I love it.
Yeah, and they're apparently making a lot of money at it. So 20% on each sale. It's kind of steep, but they have a big warehouse and 70 employees.
Right, so if I sell a $10,000 bottle, then I'm only getting $8,000. So if, that guy who bought that $50 bottle, the person who sold it made like $35.
All right, so the next thing we have coming up is the competition circuit. The first up, we're going to do the Denver International Spirits Competition results, partially because we have a relationship with Christoper Davies, who was the Global Spirits Challenge organizer. Right. And he invited us up there. He's been very nice to us, and we're going to have an interview with him that we'll paste in after we mention the whiskeys that won.
And he owns a bunch of magazines you guys probably already enjoy and don't even realize it, like Wine and Country.
Yep. So the double golds, they gave away 15 double golds this year.
That's not crazy.
No, they're very parsimonious.
Nice word, college boy.
I mean, that's their whole thing. It's like they have to actually be extraordinary to win their awards, unlike some other ones that we'll talk about later. So the 15 that won double gold, the 1792 won 2, the 12-year bourbon and their foolproof bourbon.
I love the foolproof.
Yeah, the foolproof is excellent.
You know that we think that was a hell of a whiskey.
And we did get to try the 12-year recently.
Yes.
I can't remember where.
I can't remember where either.
But that was really good too. The A. Smith Bowman Cask Strength, not the John J. Bowman.
I know.
A. Smith Bowman. That also won Best in Class. Blanton's, straight from the barrel.
Straight from the barrel. We tasted that on the Blanton's episode that we did.
Yeah, the Eagle Rare 17.
Yeah.
Garrison Brothers Cowboy Bourbon. Uncle Nearest 1856. Uncle Nearest Single Barrel Whiskey. W.L. Weller 12-year. And the William LaRue Weller that we got to taste last year.
So good. I mean, really, I can't say it's my favorite whiskey ever, but man, it's right there.
It's pretty close.
It's pretty close.
So the top 3, best of show. I'll do 3 to 1.
Okay.
Number 3. Blue Note Crossroads.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Such an affordable bottle. So good.
I know. So good. Number 2, the Sazerac 18-year Rye. Oh. That's part of the Buffalo Trace collection every year.
I've never had that.
And Ed, number 1, Stranahan's Blue Peak.
Oh my God. So I have been raving about Blue Peak off the air and behind the scenes because I can get that for about $42 in New Jersey. And I'm looking around at everybody else like, am I crazy here? Because I've been on the Stranahan kick for a long time.
Yeah.
And they're pretty reasonable, but like their main one, the yellow label one, it's about $65, $70, and it's very good. And then they got like a
Diamond Peak.
Yeah, some Diamond Peak, which is like 80 something.
Yeah.
And then we tasted the sherry finish one.
Yeah, they have some finishes.
Up in New York last time we visited the Global Whiskey
Challenge. Oh,
Challenge.
yes, that was amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that was in their top 5.
It was.
Of that one, which just goes to show you, the Blue Peak, a $40 whiskey, it doesn't have the hype, but now it's not going to be $40 anymore.
Yeah.
So if it keeps winning awards like this, it's going to go down the road of Eagle Rare and Henry McKenna 10-year, where I won't be able to find it for less than $75. But
I know.
So I'm going out today and buy a case.
It's a double-edged sword for sure.
Storekeep, all your Blue Peak.
Garçon! Ed, you're back.
Hey, you got it all. Yeah. There's no more left to buy. Forget we mentioned it.
All right. So this is where we're going to drop in the interview with Christoper Davies.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello, Chris. How are you?
Good.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing great.
Good to see you again. The Denver International Spirits Competition, right? Did that just finish up for you?
Yeah, it was our 14th annual. And what was exciting is we really were shocked at the products that came in. I mean, we never know. We try to reach out to companies and send them invites, but some companies are very elusive. For example, Forbidden. Maybe you could fill out a form on their website, but 9 out of 10 times they're not going to respond.
They are called Forbidden, so...
Yeah, Forbidden. Yeah, right. Yeah, so all of a sudden, 2 days before the deadline was happening, we get an email that they entered 2 products. And I've tried to speak with the lady that entered, and she's even elusive. I leave her voicemails, but really good product. And, and they have a female distiller who's really a scientist. She went to school to learn chemistry and then somehow became a distiller, She worked with Castle and Key before starting this brand?
Yeah, in researching news, I ran across that. I'm not sure if I ever featured it. Marianne Eaves.
Yeah, Marianne Eaves, quite a attractive lady, and she's like a superstar, the way they do photo sessions with her. And then another one that was a surprise was 15 Stars. And
Yeah, I've heard of them.
they're running full-page ads in Whiskey Advocate, which are not cheap, but they are doing some really spectacular blending where they're using 3 different barrels, and they're doing a lot of experimenting with things. And then, of course, we were very happy to get Blanton's back. And Blanton's entered 2 products that we hadn't had before, and they were high ABV, which is not their typical product. And then we had a couple of celebrity whiskeys that were surprising. You know, celebrity spirit brands are not always what they're said to be, right?
Yeah.
But this Row 94, which was from Dierks Bentley, was pretty interesting. And then Noble Rickhouse, which is Mike Rowe, the guy that does the dirty jobs on TV.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he has a Tennessee whiskey.
Oh, get out.
Yeah, so we were pretty happy with that. And then, of course, Stranahan's knocked it out of the park again. We're lucky enough to live in Colorado, and we can go visit Stranahan's in Denver. They're about 20 minutes away.
Oh, wow.
And they have a new master blender. Once their distiller left, his name is Rob Dietrich, and he went to work for Metallica. He's doing the Blackened products, right?
Right.
Well, they decided not to hire a distiller. They focus more on the blender, and they basically pump out this American single malt whiskey, and then it's all done with barrels. You know, the barrel treatments. They have quite an inventory. I mean, like 60 different types of barrels.
Oh, wow.
And what they've done is they've improved the quality, but they didn't change the name of the product. And last year, their Blue Peak got double gold in the Denver International Spirits Competition. That was the 2024. So they've been running full-page ads in Whiskey Advocate with our medals. And I think that had a little bit to do with why we got these other premium brands in this year, because they're like, whoa, these guys are, you know.
Scott, we have a bottle of the Blue Peak in our whiskey locker at the lounge. I ordered one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, it's in there now.
Oh, cool.
So,
So we talked about your competition on the news episode already.
Thank you.
We're going to have a little formal interview with you that we're going to drop in while you talk about it. So why don't we do that right now?
So there's 2 competitions I'm looking to promote. The first one is North American Bourbon and Whiskey. That's the one that happens in July. About 11 years ago, we got the idea of doing a special competition that's just focused on bourbon and Canadian whiskey. And it's kind of branched out a little bit because now we have Mexican whiskey. And recently we were approached by somebody that has whiskey in Argentina, so that's South America. But 99% comes from North America. And what's so cool is that most of these big competitions taste all different types of product. This is one of the few that's just focused on these categories. And I feel like it's where you're really competing against your peers. It's like the judges just didn't finish up rum, you know, in the morning and then have to jump into whiskey. So it's a value-added competition because there's extra things that you can get. And one is if you do win gold or double gold, you will have the opportunity for us to pour your product in New Orleans during the week of the Tales of the Cocktail. The largest bartender show in the world. It gets about 5,000 attendees. It's run by a not-for-profit organization that gives scholarships and stuff to mixologists. And what we usually do is we have one night in the middle of that whole event where we do a trade tasting. We have the press come, and we invite bartenders to come. And we even sell some tickets to VIPs to at least break even on the food. And this year we'll be doing this event on Friday, the 25th of July. And we have been hosting it at Anton's Restaurant, which is one of the oldest family-owned restaurants in the United States. Really good food. So when people come to the tasting, we can't not serve food. So we spend about $3,000 on oysters and all those kind of things that are common in Bourbon Street, right?
Yeah.
So anytime that you guys would want to join us, you could do a show from there almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you have a remote, but so this competition is what I'm promoting right now, but then we did change the dates on the Global Whiskey Challenge, which has been moved to September. And the reason being is with all the stuff going on with the tariffs or not the tariff, everybody's terrified.
That's good, Chris. Like, that's the first time ever. I'm going to give you the credit.
How did we not come up with that? It's right there.
It's literally almost the name. Terrified. We will steal it now. I will use it. But you were the first.
Yeah. To be honest, we did the Tequila Mezcal Challenge in April, and we were off by 60% because that's the first thing that some of these little companies do is they stop spending on marketing. I don't think it's a smart move, but they got so scared. Mm-hmm. So we ended up having that competition in one day instead of 2 days because of the big drop.
Right.
I'm hoping that we won't have as bad of a drop with the whiskeys, but we'll see. So you were in New York with us when we did the Best of Show.
Yeah.
We had a great time. We tasted some great whiskeys, got to meet the other judges and all. That was good.
Yeah, the judges are good people. They've been with us for quite a time. They're like an orchestra the way they work. I mean, and if you guys come out to judge in September...
Absolutely. We're excited about it.
We would have you sit with two of the top judges so that you learn from them.
Absolutely.
That's what we want to do, yeah.
I'll email you our judging form so you can get a feel, but we start with 60 points so that nobody can go below a 60. That's a pretty crummy product if it was 60, but... what we found is it makes the judges more cohesive together by not letting them go all the way down to 0.
Right, because then now you're in a 40-point bubble, which is the way I felt about teaching is if you got a 60, you still failed, but why do I have to bury you with like a 30 or something that you'll never be able to get out from under,
Right.
So Global Whiskey Challenge, what we try to do is enable small brands and large brands to compete from the 3 different slices of the globe. So you could end up becoming, let's say, the best Scotch or the best Irish whiskey because you're being tasted with similar products. But once those top products are selected by our senior judges, they get retasted again. And then the judges are sort of like, okay, which one do you like best? And it's, elimination. You were there, you witnessed it. Mm-hmm. But they whittled down the 9 best, 3 from each area, to 3 top winners. So that's part of it. The second part is the prizes. The awards are very substantial. I mean, the one that first place gets is got the globe on it, but it's 18 inches tall. Mm-hmm. That costs $1,500 to make. I mean,
size matters, Chris.
Yeah, size matters in this case. And the distillery that won is called Lagged, Lagg. It's on the Isle of Arran. Mm-hmm. And that trophy is now sitting in that distillery. So that's what it's all about. It's not just getting a digital file that you can put up on your website. Mm-hmm. And we're hoping to expand our judges and entries. 10 years from now, this could be a real big thing.
Awesome.
The websites for North American Bourbon and Whiskey, we have one of the best domain names. It's whiskycomp.com. Mm-hmm. And for Global Whiskey Challenge, that's how it sounds, globalwhiskeychallenge.com.
Well, we're excited to be a bigger part of it this year, the Global Whiskey Challenge specifically. And if we don't make it down to New Orleans, we will see you in September for sure in person, and I'm sure we'll talk before then because we have a lot to talk about.
Okay, and I can throw this out to you. I don't have a budget for airline tickets, but I'll get you hotel rooms if you come out to Denver.
Oh, Colorado instead of New York.
Yeah, because the only thing that happened in New York was the final tasting. That's only like 9 products.
That makes sense. I was sitting here wondering how those 5 guys did everything you said happens in the competition.
Yeah, no, they didn't. Basically, we have 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, that we'll be tasting the 3 different competitions over that weekend.
I see.
6th and 7th of September. And then on Monday in the morning, we would do the Best of Show Global Winners.
And then do you go to New York after that?
Might not go to New York.
Okay. So I've never been to Colorado. I've always been looking for an excuse.
Yeah. Okay. I've never been there either.
Absolutely. Perfect. We'll fly out.
Okay. So you guys fly out. We'll get you hotel rooms and we'll feed you.
At least 2 beds.
Perfect.
Okay.
How about 2 rooms?
2 rooms.
That would be even better.
Yeah. They're not going to make you bunk. I worked for a company one time. Horrible. I had a guy was snoring right next to me in his bed. And I said, hey, Joey, roll over. He goes, what do you have in mind? So yeah.
Anyway, Chris, it was great talking to you.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Yes, thank you so much.
Let me know if you want us to bring some food out, East Coast food to you when we come.
Oh yeah, I might ask for some Italian food.
Okay.
There you go.
Take care, guys.
Okay.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Christopher. He's such a good guy.
I can't even say enough about him. Such a great guy. And it makes you really reevaluate your life, the way he gets to pursue his passion.
Yeah.
Maybe me and Scott down the road, this, whiskey will become a bigger part of what we do.
Yeah.
This is a lot of what we do, but I mean, like, we've talked about putting out our own whiskeys. We've talked about getting into some, becoming more active in behind the scenes thing, whether we're judges or whether we're brand ambassadors or whatever, because it's something that's a passion for us as well. So I really take my hat off to Christopher Davies and his lovely wife and what he's, doing out there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so this is the other whiskey competition, San Francisco World Spirits. They are the biggest one.
Yes.
And in the service of giving the news and the number of double golds that they gave out,
Right.
600 double golds.
Now, I will say they have more whiskeys than anybody
They
else.
do.
And you can't say they're not influential.
I mean, they are.
Only Whiskey Advocates top 20 as something that impacts what we can buy for what price more. Because if Whiskey Advocates says you have the best whiskey, then good luck finding it.
Yeah. And same for the San Francisco, for sure.
Scott's going to read all 600 names that you can't buy now.
No, I do have it's like 15, I think. But we'll go through them quick, though.
Right.
So 1792 also won double gold here.
Yeah.
They had 3 bourbons, though. This were the 12-year and the full proof, but also the small batch, which is good. But it's nowhere near the other 2.
I don't know how it gets a double gold.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. The 2XO American Oak bourbon. That's the other one we tried
In Kentucky.
In Kentucky. Eagle Rare
Yep.
won a double gold. Elijah Craig had 3, the Barrel Proof C924, the 18-year, and the Rye. Evan Williams 12-year-old Red Label, which we had and saw in Kentucky.
Yes, had that in Kentucky.
George T. Stagg, which
Yes.
we know is excellent.
Yes.
Garrison Brothers Single Barrel Bourbon. Joseph Magnus Triple Cask Bourbon.
Everything I've had from Joseph Magnus is magnificent. Magnificent.
Knob Creek 10-year Rye.
Okay, yeah.
New Riff had 2, their 8-year bourbon and their sherry finished malted rye, which I would love to try.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds excellent. Old Forester 1920 Prohibition style bourbon. That's one of my early favorites.
I saw a post today online. What's Old Forester's best? And I didn't interact with it, but my brain said 1920.
1920, yeah. Powers had 2.
Okay.
The John's Lane and the 3 Swallow.
We've had both of them, sure.
The Spot Irish whiskey, the green, the yellow, and the red.
Right?
We've had all those. And the W.L. Weller Antique 107.
I love the 107.
It's really good.
Yep.
So those are one of the ones I pulled out from their giant list.
Real quick, the last time I was in Bourbon and Branch a month ago, that was a barrel they had pick.
The 107.
The 107.
Oh, yeah.
It was so good.
Their barrel pick of
Yes.
107. Oh, interesting.
Yes, the Bourbon and Branch had a barrel pick themselves with Weller, the 107.
Cool.
And it was delicious.
Yeah. I just want to say I just pulled those out because they had relevance to the podcast.
Yeah.
I can't pull out all 600. That's what she said. All right, so the next thing we have up, we got True Crime.
True Crime.
We got 3 stories. The first one is from AlbuquerqueRaw.com. This is not a porn site. Drunk driver crashes car, goes nuts. On May 12th, at approximately 6:10 p.m., officers were dispatched to the location of a traffic collision involving 2 vehicles. Dispatchers advised officers that a physical altercation had occurred with bystanders chasing, tackling, and holding down the driver who caused the accident so he couldn't flee. After arriving at the scene, officers encountered a visibly agitated male on the sidewalk, later identified as Luciano Saavedra of Albuquerque, cursing loudly at bystanders and exhibiting signs of intoxication, including slurred speech, bloodshot eyes, and a strong odor of alcohol on his breath. While speaking with the man, officers observed something sticking out of his sock, fearing some sort of weapon. But Saavedra said it was his ankle monitor and proceeded to pull down his sock to reveal that it was actually an empty bottle of Fireball. For some reason, this caused Saavedra to then have a tantrum, during which he refused to give his identity, bumped his head against the breathalyzer, and spat on the officers, ultimately forcing them to put him in headgear and a spit sock. As such, they were not able to determine his blood alcohol level. During transport to the detention center, Saavedra made multiple statements about intending to harm himself, but after calming down and being medically cleared, he stated that he had indeed consumed Fireball whiskey prior to driving, but that he, quote, only had a few sips. Officers booked him for driving under the influence of alcohol and concealing identity, but he was released the next morning under his own recognizance pending trial.
Yeah, it sounds like he's going to catch a DUI for that, or
definitely
DWA or
whatever it is out in
DW,
New Mexico.
Yeah.
The sock thing, why did he say it was an ankle monitor if he doesn't have an ankle monitor?
I don't know. It just seems
It's
like he's
so
trolling the
bizarre.
cops. And
I guess
and
so.
The reality is, I mean,
because that only makes it worse if you have an ankle monitor and you get in that kind of a trouble.
listen, if you spit on cops, it's
don't do
frowned,
that.
it's frowned upon. Okay,
yeah.
It's assault. It's a huge charge. It's also very rude, and it's going to get you taken to the ground and roughed up and it should, by the way, just for the record.
Yeah, you're in trouble. Just take it and settle it later.
Yeah, because here's at the end of the day, you still caught your DUI, but now you caught 5 other charges.
Exactly. I'm surprised that they didn't have all those under there too, but I guess they were taking pity on him. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe he was just so altered that they just put it down to being mentally deranged or something. I don't know. But go ahead, Scott.
Okay. The second story we have is from Lehigh Valley Live, so local. Police officer accused of shooting fellow hunter after doing shots of whiskey.
Oh, God.
In Berks County, Pennsylvania, an Exeter Township police officer, David Kwasmi, 30, is facing misdemeanor counts of shooting, causing injury to a human, and reckless endangerment for accidentally firing a shotgun while hunting geese with a group of fellow hunters last November.
Misdemeanor.
What?
He shot somebody and somehow turned it into a misdemeanor.
I know.
I was watching a clip. They broke into a house and it was like Class B felony, 5 to 20 years in jail. I'm like,
oh,
I mean, somebody got shot here. So I want to hear the story.
All right. After the group had taken shots at a flock of geese, Kwasmi noticed a goose flying around the left side of the blind toward the rear. He allegedly shouted rear and shot at the bird from his position on the far right side. Unfortunately, back on the far left was a man just standing up after bending down to pick up his spent shotgun shells, who then felt something hit the top of his head. Emergency responders took the victim to a hospital where he underwent brain surgery and was listed in critical condition and remained in intensive care for several days. Witnesses, including the victim later, told investigators that on the day of the incident just prior to the shooting, Kwasmi and several others in the hunting party had been doing shots of alcohol but were unsure about how much they consumed. Kwasmi, who has since left the police department, is currently free on bail pending arraignment, where in addition to formal charges, he could also receive a lifetime hunting ban in the state of Pennsylvania. You're doing shots and hunting.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Do people do this? Is this a thing? I guess a couple beers maybe, but doing shots of alcohol with shotguns in your hand with a bunch of people.
I feel like Fireball is involved again.
You might be right.
It wasn't mentioned, but it just sounds like something Fireball would do.
Yeah.
I speak to Fireball like it's a person. Like it's like an ornery kid in your neighborhood. Like, oh, that Fireball out there again.
I'm going to talk to Fireball's parents.
Yeah.
Get them in here.
Good luck finding them. Yeah. It's so hot in here, by the way.
I know, it keeps getting hot.
It's like devoid of any air. I feel like I'm in a crypt.
I'm warm too.
Yeah.
12 seconds later.
It's really humid out too.
This was a hot day, man. Plus, I sat down all day in the sun.
Right. Are we done talking about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Fireball is a person. So the third story is from Landline Media. Missouri Trucking Company owner receives 9-year prison sentence for bank fraud. So this isn't really about whiskey per se, but you'll see. Christoper Carroll, 55, of Farmington, Missouri, has been ordered to pay $3 million and serve 108 months in prison after being convicted of 3 counts of bank fraud, 3 counts of making false statements to a financial institution, 13 violations of the Clean Air Act, 1 count of conspiracy to violate the Clean Air Act, and 2 counts of threatening a witness. According to court records, Carroll and his partner, George Reed, submitted an application for a $1.2 million COVID-era Paycheck Protection Program loan, otherwise known as PPP, in April of 2020 for a timeshare exit business that they own. See, they're already shady. Right?
Yeah.
However,
timeshares.
Yeah, exactly. However, the application contained numerous false statements, including claims that their wives were actually the company's owners in order to conceal Carroll's status as a paroled felon. Mm-hmm. Additionally, instead of using the money to pay their employees, the pair bought land and vehicles to start a trucking company, but after the money ran out, Carroll applied for loan forgiveness and secured a second loan of more than $1.6 million, from which he took a total of $660,000 in, quote, owner withdrawals from the company. Said U.S. Attorney Cellar A. Fleming at the sentencing hearing, this prosecution reinforces our office's priority of going after people like Christoper Carroll, who took advantage of a once-in-a-generation crisis to enrich themselves at the expense of struggling Americans.
Yes.
This office will continue to make sure that they are held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. So, what does this have to do with whiskey? Well, aside from the fact that these guys must have been drunk to think they'd get away with all this, the name of the trucking company they created with the fraudulently obtained funds was Whiskey Dick's Big Truck Repair.
Wow. Wow.
I read all that just for a dick joke.
Wow.
Thank you. I'll be here all night.
And he should do 9 years in prison. But
Absolutely should.
But I'm going to point out that he didn't shoot anybody either.
That's right. So the guy who shot someone is probably going to get probation.
Right.
And
it was an accident. He didn't intend to
was an
shoot
accident.
anybody. It was more negligence.
Yeah, and this guy's
conniving.
Yeah.
But who's giving him the second
That's exactly
$1.6 million loan?
exactly my thought, Ed.
Like, he needed 1.2, which, by the way, who gave that loan? Like,
No.
like I know people who own businesses. They got 90,000 PPP. They got 60,000.
Yeah.
I know someone that got maybe 180,000 PPP.
Yeah.
Who had quite a few employees.
Right, he wouldn't have got anything, and that's what the thing
Right.
about this making their wives, because
Right.
he's a felon already.
Right.
So a felon got $1.2 million and then $1.6 million. I'm like, don't they do background checks for that
Yeah.
kind of money?
I mean, it's crazy to me that.
Jeez.
Meanwhile, I'm trying to get a car loan. Like,
I don't know. You're like $7.99. That's a no.
okay, first of all.
All right. So the next thing we do are the new whiskeys that you can buy this month.
Yes.
Now we have 19 of them.
Well, you could buy them.
Yeah, you could buy
Let's
them.
see how many we would buy.
Okay.
There's a could and a would.
Right. Some of them are like grouped together, so it's not going to be 19 whiskeys
Got
with
it.
all the descriptions and
Got it.
everything. All right. So the first one we have on the list is a mouthful. Angel's Envy Cellar Collection Volume 5, French Oak Extra Añejo Tequila Barrel Finished Rye. It's like
I'm gonna
30 words.
Make you say it one more time.
One more time. All right, ready? Angel's Envy Cellar Collection Volume 5, French Oak Extra Añejo Tequila Barrel Finished Rye. Wow. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, actually.
Sounds amazing, but it's going to be about $7 a word.
Angel's Envy's Cellar Collection spotlights interesting finishes beyond the distillery's trademark ruby port casks. This year's version is a rye that's finished in Limousin, French oak barrels that previously held Patron Piedra Extra Añejo. About 90% of the blend is 6.5-year rye that was finished for 1 year in those barrels, with the remaining 10% being an 11-year unfinished rye, both sourced from MGP. It's 104.2 proof. The average age is 7 years, 10 months. I'm guessing it's the 95.5 rye. They didn't say, but that's what they source from MGP for the regular rye. Toasty vanilla, clovey smokiness, cracked pepper, agave, tobacco, brown sugar with orange blossom honey and tropical fruits, $2.70.
All right, so it was $4 a word.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
It was $8 a word.
12, 15, 14 words in the name of the whiskey.
All right, so yeah.
Yeah, let's say 270 divided by 14. $19 a word.
Yeah,
Yes.
so I think I would be interested in that whiskey for around 170.
170. Yeah, that's what I was going to say too.
And Angel Envy recently has been a little inflated, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, they're doing a lot of like limited releases and
Yeah.
finishes and
And listen, to their credit, that
Cask strength.
sounds like an amazing whiskey.
Yeah.
And that's the thing in business. If they can make that and sell it all, then what do they care if I'm not going to buy it?
right. So we have 6 whiskeys from Calumet Farms.
Yes.
Yeah. So Bowling Green, Kentucky based Calumet Farms, I'll tell you why, there's 6, holds the distinction of being the Bluegrass State's most successful thoroughbred breeder, at least as far as the Kentucky Derby is concerned, with 8 Derby winners, the most of any horse farm. For the past decade plus, Calumet has also put its name on more than just horses, debuting its bourbon label in 2013. Now, in honor of the farm's 100-year anniversary, they are releasing 6 new limited edition whiskeys, 1 rye, and 5 bourbons. So the rye is called Centennial High Rye. It's 100 proof, 10 years aged, 91% rye, 9% malted barley, which is a strange mash bill. $100. A bottle and bond Centennial bourbon, 100 proof. These are all the same mash coming up. At least 4 years age, 74% corn, 18% rye, 8% malted barley, $100. The Origin Centennial
Wait, for a 4-year?
for a 4-year bottle and bond.
Yeah, so that's expensive.
Yeah. The Origin Centennial bourbon, 100 proof, 18 years aged. The same mash bill, $100. Like, I can't believe they sell them for the same price, right?
Strange.
And then they have 3 bourbons, different proofs in different decanters. So they have one that's a ceramic decanter. It looks like the head house of the farm.
Right.
It's kind of cool. It's only 80 proof, no age statement, same mash bill, $330.
Okay. Okay.
A glass decanter 17-year bourbon. So just a nice fancy glass bottle.
Shaped into the phallus of their most successful stallion.
That would be amazing. I'd buy that for
That's just Man of War's penis decanter.
same mash bill, 117 proof, $400.
Okay.
And the glass decanter 18-year bourbon, same mash bill, 118 proof, and that's $500. I don't know why you would pay $400 for a bottle.
Yes.
Because the 18-year is the same as the Origin, same mash bill and everything, and it's $400 more. And all that's different is the bottle.
Yeah, and their Derby winners, by the way, in case you're wondering, is Whirl Away in 1941, Pensive in 1944, Citation, very famous one in 1948, Ponder, sired by Pensive, by the way.
Pensive, if you mix up the letters,
You
you can spell penis. So
1949.
maybe it's his dick in the decanter.
That's right.
The dick canter.
Oh my God. Hill Gale in 1952, Iron Liege in 1957, Tim Tam in 1958,
Tim Tam.
Forward Pass in 1968, Strike the Gold in 1991, and their last Derby winner very recently was Rich Strike in 2022.
I remember Strike the Gold.
So never was Man of War under there. But we will say that in this year's Kentucky Derby, every single horse could trace its lineage back to Secretariat.
Yeah, that was
That's
cool.
pretty amazing.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Hey, listen, I've had Calumet Farm.
Yes, we did a quick taste.
Yep.
I can't remember which year. Yeah, was that it? The 16 year?
Yep, 16 years. Someone gave it to me as a gift when I retired.
That's right.
It was just okay. Mm-hmm. Wasn't bad.
I know.
But none of the Calumet I've had, none are bad.
Right.
None are amazing. They're just a good bourbon. And I would try one of them for $100. I don't think that's crazy.
No, like an 18-year 100 proof at $100, that's a bargain.
Yeah.
honestly.
I would give that a taste.
Yeah.
But then I've had the 16, which was actually like $150. And it was just all right.
Yeah. So next we have two Chicken Cock new expressions from them. One's a 10-year double oak. Bardstown's Chicken Cock whiskey is taking its double oak expression to new levels by aging it an extra 2 years and lowering its price by $20.
Okay.
Classified as an American whiskey, it was first aged in ex-bourbon barrels before finishing in new charred American oak. It's 92 proof, 10 years aged, 80.5% corn, 11% rye, 8.5% malted barley, sweet cornbread, cherry cola, apple cider, candied apples, chocolate cake, and French toast, $80.
Okay.
10 years, $80.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I would be all over that.
Because the previous one was $100.
Right.
So they lowered their prices. It's kind of what we were talking about.
We're hoping that
there'll be a contraction in prices as well.
as the competition gets real and less people are buying your stuff, take that ice cream bar down from 5 to 4 and you'll sell more ice cream.
There we go. And the second one they have, it's called Rye-teous blonde.
So
finished.
It's a rye?
Rye.
So I get to go chicken cock, rye. Okay.
Originally a limited release in 2020, Rye-teous Blonde is back and also cheaper than before. This is Chicken Cock's flagship rye, finished for an undisclosed time in blonde ale barrels from Goodwood Brewing in Louisville, Kentucky. It's 100 proof, at least 4 years aged, 95.5 rye.
I got that Goodwood for you, girl.
Vanilla wafer, lemon peel, herbal tea, oak, crisp apple, sweet malt, delicate pepper, honeycomb, pear, toasted oak, and gentle sweet malt, $70.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
Both approachable because the chicken cock rye that we tried was just priced out for most people.
Yeah.
It was in the 200s.
Yeah, there was a rum finished.
Yeah, it was very good.
Yeah, very
It was
good.
very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so this one I thought was neat. We usually don't do scotches
Yep.
on these, but this one, toasting method they use for the barrel. Dewar's
Yep.
Double Magma Stone Toasted French Oak Scotch. Toasted barrels is usually a straightforward process. Prior to charring, coopers use heat to slowly break down the compounds in the wood and release sought-after flavors, like toasting a marshmallow over a campfire. Typically, coopers accomplish that by using gas ovens, electric tubes, or fires. But this new Dewar's expression was finished in a cask toasted with an unlikely tool, heated magma stones sourced from Iceland. Using exotic rocks to toast a cask may seem like an alien concept, but it's actually a practice that some wineries have been employing for decades, which is said to impart silkier textures and richer flavors from the cask.
Interesting.
It's 92 proof. It's 21 years aged. The mash bill is not disclosed. Bananas, bread dough, malt grain, cinnamon, clove, caramel, baked apple, toasted cereal, and cornbread, $140.
That's not crazy.
21 years.
That's not crazy.
No.
Not at all. For a double oaked as well.
I mean, regardless of the finishing, but that is interesting.
I mean, in the Scotch world, 140 for that is actually a bargain.
Yeah, I thought so too. I think it may be because it's Dewar's and they tend to be lower priced stuff.
True, but yeah.
The next one we have is another world whiskey, the only other one I think on this list. Hatozaki Triple Cask Reserve Blended Malt World Whiskey. We had one of their whiskeys on episode 49 back in 2021 with Marty and Rachel.
I think it's World Whiskey Day, Scott.
Today is?
Yeah, I think it is.
Oh, happy World Whiskey Day, everyone. But that's why I did this.
There you go, Scott. Because you're being a Scotchadamus.
Scotch or Thomas. The new Hatozaki release is a blend of malt sourced from different countries around the world. Initially matured in ex-bourbon and sherry casks and then finished for 6 months in umeshu plum liqueur casks at the Kaikyo distillery located near Akashi in Japan's Hyogo Prefecture. The countries of origin are not disclosed. 92 proof, no age statement, 100% malted barley, oak spice, black tea, orange, apricot, vanilla, toasted barley, dried fruit peels, and plum, $75.
Well, that's not bad either.
That's not bad either.
We're getting a lot of bargains in this month.
And if you're impressed with my Japanese pronunciations, that's because I've been playing Assassin's Creed Shadows for the past month and a half.
That's right. It's like a Japanese starter course
Yeah.
in medieval times.
So what's interesting about this one is that this is what Japanese whiskeys were doing. They were sourcing whiskey from around the world, bringing it back to Japan and bottling it and selling it as their own, which is what prompted people to complain and say, this isn't actually Japanese whiskey. You can't call it Japanese whiskey. And then all the distillers got together and then they created the rules that are now in place. So this doesn't qualify as a Japanese whiskey. That's why they call it a world whiskey. So it's kind of smart, though, that they did that because they took a product that they couldn't legally say Japanese and made it into a benefit.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah. The next one we have is Knob Creek Cask Strength Single Barrel Bourbon and Rye.
Okay.
So we've had single barrels and we've had cask strengths, but we've never had cask strength single barrels until now. Knob Creek has announced the latest evolution of its Single Barrel Select program with the introduction of Single Barrel Select Cask Strength, which allows retailers to select exclusive barrels of uncut, unfiltered Knob Creek bourbon and rye whiskey. The Single Barrel Selection experience takes place at their distillery in Claremont, Kentucky, where participants receive a behind-the-scenes distillery tour, thieve whiskey directly from multiple barrels, concluding with a curated dining experience at the Kitchen Table restaurant, where we had our dinner.
We had our dinner with Fred and Freddie. No.
That's right. Age proof and tasting notes are going to vary because they're single barrels. The MSRP is $70 for a bottle.
It's a bargain.
Yeah. So look for them at liquor stores near you. The ones that do store picks from Knob Creek, they'll probably have this soon.
I expect Benash to.
Yes, I do too. New Riff. New Riff has a new one, an American single malt, their 2025 release.
Well, we talked about how companies are going to start bringing them out.
Yeah, the third annual single malt release from Kentucky's New Riff Distilling. This expression includes some of the distillery's oldest liquid, primarily aged in ex-bourbon barrels and Madeira casks, featuring 3 different mash bills. 41% Maris Otter, a 1960s English ale malt. 18% of it is Scottish peated barley malt, and 41% of it is barley wine single malt. It's 115.2 proof, 7 to 10 years aged. Big and bold with chocolate, espresso, orange, cherry coke, black pepper, caramel oak, cocoa powder, leather, and just a bit of smoke. $70.
That's such a bargain.
I know, right?
New Riff never disappoints. Never.
Oh, next one. This was fun. Proper number 12.
Yes.
It's put out a 13-year Irish whiskey.
Which is strangely the dating age requirements of Conor McGregor.
After ditching problematic founder and spokesman Conor McGregor, Proper 12 is now somewhat confusingly releasing a 13-year blend. Wouldn't 12 be better, right? Of Irish whiskeys finished in ex-bourbon barrels and European oak ruby port casks, both of which were distilled at Bushmills. It's 86 proof, 13 years aged, 100% malted barley. Vanilla, dried fruits, baking spice, tannic oak, apricot, and black pepper. That's $60.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what they can do now. To me, it's always just been okay Irish whiskey, but it's fine. A lot of people like it.
Right, so that's 13 year from Bushmills, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And regular Bushmills is not good, but we've had some of their higher ones. It's very good.
Yeah. I just include...
The Black Bush is kind of nice, too, if you ever can get some. Just put it out there.
Lost my virginity to Black Bush.
What? He means the first time he drank Irish whiskey, everybody.
Right, yeah, that's what I meant.
Whatever.
The next one is called Rye-teous.
My God.
But this is actually a serious thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not rye curious. I'm a full-on rye sexual.
Yeah, you love your rye.
I do. To bring awareness to Maryland's official state spirit, the Maryland Distillers Council is launching a new campaign to put the history and tradition of rye whiskey in Maryland back into the spotlight. The goal is to eventually highlight the 20 or so rye whiskey producers in the state, but to kick off the campaign, the first edition features whiskey from Baltimore Spirits Company, McClintock Distilling, and Sagamore. It's 110 proof. There's no age statement, no mash bill, because it's a blend of all our stuff. Cherry, citrus, dried apricot, warm baking spices, caramel, and vanilla, $80.
All right.
Yeah. I just thought that was really cool because we may soon be taking a trip down to Baltimore.
Yes.
Yeah. The next one, Baltimore distillery that we just mentioned, Sagamore Spirit Cask Strength Rye, their 2025 edition. The latest Cask Strength Rye edition from Sagamore Spirit builds upon its predecessors, blending high and low rye whiskeys that are triple distilled at its Maryland-based distillery using grains that come entirely from local Maryland farms. So more stuff that they have done now. 123 proof, 7 years aged, the mash bill is not disclosed. Black licorice, vanilla taffy, eucalyptus, and dark honey. That's also $70.
Very herbaceous.
Yeah, very herbaceous. That's my kind of rye. Ed is not rye curious about that one.
No, but I would give it a try. And once again, Scott, this must be the most affordable
I know
news episode we've ever done as far as whiskeys you can buy.
I mean, almost all but those $100 Calumets and the Angel's Envy.
But I don't think $100 Calumets
and the Dewars
right.
were all under 100.
Yeah, but the Dewars was also 21 years.
I know.
It was like 140?
I know. There's not a lot to complain about here.
No, there's not. You know, and I'm happy to.
I'm sorry.
But I think that this is, because I think it's a validation of the trend we talked about a couple months ago, that you're going to see the prices come back down to reality.
Right. So the last one we have is a pair of whiskeys from Star Trek, a collaboration with Stellum.
Strange.
Yeah, so two companies that we featured on the podcast before have collaborated with each other, Star Trek Spirits and Stellum, whose name is derived from the Latin word meaning star.
So
there you go. There's a connection for you. They're called the Romulan Stellum Cask Strength Bourbon and Rye. So the bourbon is 120 proof, 5 years aged, 79 corn, 18 rye, 3 malted barley, charred orange leather, floral vanilla, cardamom, cedar, spiced nuts, cinnamon, $80. And the rye is 118 proof, 5 to 7 years, 82% rye, 14% corn, 4% malted barley, dark brown sugar, toasted almonds, anise, sesame, dill, apricot, and orange peel, also 80.
See, that's cheap for Stellum's specialty releases, which are normally around $99.
Yeah.
I mean, I heard Stellum brand was getting phased out, so I find this news to be very interesting.
Yeah, we'll have to ask Craig about it.
Yeah, because I had a couple of sources tell me that Barrel's restructuring and they're getting rid of Stellum. And I thought, well, you ruined Stellum because Stellum's supposed to be a $50 or $60 whiskey, and you keep putting out $100 versions of it because Barrel just can't help themselves.
Right, I know. So that's it. That's all 19.
Wow.
See, that went fast.
That did go fast. And like I said, even the two at the end, and especially because when Star Trek Spirit does their own thing, it's very, very crafted. So it's usually a couple dollars because there's not that many of them.
Yeah.
You didn't mention if this is going to be blue.
Oh, no, it's not blue. No.
Okay.
It's definitely a brown spirit.
Okay.
So the last thing that we do on the news is what's coming up in June.
Yes.
The first week in June, the 6th, we have episode 84. We're going to do it on Little Books. We have 5 expressions that we're going to be tasting.
Yes.
And we're going to have an interview with Freddie No.
I've been working on this for 3 to 4 years in my mind, and actually working on it since November.
That's right. 3 to 4 months in reality.
Right. 6 months now.
Oh, 6 months now, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's going to be super exciting.
Yeah.
We haven't talked to him yet. We're going to talk to him on Tuesday.
Right.
And the episode comes out on the 6th.
Right.
So the next week is the 14th. We're doing a quick taste on a St. Augustine, Florida bourbon that my mom brought me back from Florida. Thanks, Mom. On the 20th, will be no podcast unless something special comes up. And on the 27th, the last week in June, we'll be right back here doing the news.
All right. So, Scott, thanks for everything you put together. Everybody, I hope that you found this information useful. A couple of things for the kids. Don't get millions of dollars in loans and then steal it. Don't drink Fireball. Don't spit at cops.
Don't buy overpriced ice cream at the Renaissance Fair.
I feel bad for them. I'm glad they don't listen to us because they might be like, why are you guys just trashing us?
Why is everybody always picking on me?
It's only $5.
Charlie Brown, he's a clown.
He's gonna get caught. Just you wait and see.
Why is everybody always picking on me?
Cheers, everybody.
Later.